So welcome back. We're going to do a few more examples on working with exponents. Again, we're simplifying, and in this case, we still don't want any answers to contain negative exponents. And you kind of pick up on, these are just rules, they're shortcuts, but I don't necessarily have to use those shortcuts all the time. I kind of blend between the two. Now, one thing I do like to do, though, is since I have negative exponents in my particular problem here, I do like to apply that if it's a negative exponent, you can flip it to get rid of that negative exponent. I do like to do that to start with. That just makes it easier for me to see. So what I'm going to do is make my fraction bar. Since the 2 is not raised to negative exponent, it's going to stay put. The x to the fourth does not have an exponent. It stays put. But notice that these two do have negative exponents. So I'm going to bring down that y to the fourth to the bottom, and also that z to the third on the bottom. So those two pieces are going to now move to the bottom part. Now I'm moving my attention to the denominator. Notice that the 3 is not raised to a negative exponent, so it's going to stay put. That x squared does not have an x exponent, so it's going to stay put. But notice how that y to the negative third does have a negative exponent, so that means it's going to actually flip to the top. So y to the third is going to actually go up to the top. And now it's no longer negative. That z to the fourth does not have a negative exponent, so it stays put. Okay. So what I'm picking up on now is the bottom can be cleaned up a little bit because of this z and z. So to me, the top's going to stay the same. 2x to the fourth, y to the third. But the bottom can be cleaned up a little bit. So I'm going to have 3x squared, y to the fourth, and then I have this z to the seventh. Because remember, if you're multiplying, our shortcut says if your bases are the same and you're multiplying, I could add those exponents together to simplify that. So if I have 3 z's here and 4 z's there, all multiplied together, that's going to be a total of 7 z's multiplied together. So I write that z to the seventh. From here, I kind of start mentally seeing my division. And division kind of implies this taking away concept. So the 2 and 3 really aren't going to do anything. They're going to stay put. But also I have 4x's up here and an x squared on the bottom. That's going to allow me to take away 2. But I've got to pay attention that I'm left with 2, but they're left in the top. So it's going to give me an x squared on the top. The y to the third and y to the fourth, notice how, again, I can take away. But notice how there's more y's on the bottom, so I'm going to be left with a y in the denominator. And that z to the seventh is just going to stay right where it is. And that would be considered simplified. So 2x squared in the numerator divided by 3y z to the seventh on the denominator. Notice again how if I have fractional expressions, I kind of more move across the page as opposed to down the page. That just seems to work better for me sometimes. So let's look at this next example. Notice again how I'm going to approach these special exponents to start with. Negative exponents tell me to flip. 0 exponents actually tell me to turn it into a 1. So my first move is just to kind of move things around. The 3 stays put. The x cubed stays put. The y to the negative 1 moves down. The z to the negative 1 moves down. The x to the negative fourth moves to the top as an x to the fourth. And these both turn to 1s. Now remember, if you multiply by 1, it just kind of gets absorbed in the problem. So I can just kind of drop that out of the problem altogether because multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything, so we can just leave it out. Now if we look at this, I can see that I have a 3 in the top. X to the third times x to the fourth, that can be simplified as x to the seventh. And then you just have the y and the z in the denominator, and there's really nothing else that you can mark out, no other like factors to divide out. So that becomes our simplified answer. So 3x to the seventh in the top, the y and the z are on the bottom, and that would be our simplified answer. Stay tuned for a few more.